Ah. Uh, like the tanks and planes of the First World War, early Battletech tactics and doctrine were still being developed by militaries throughout human space. Tanks initially served as slow, mobile cover for infantry, later evolving into fast breakthrough vehicles. Planes, originally used for reconnaissance, were soon equipped with guns and bombs for combat roles. These early mechs reflected the technological and industrial capabilities of their producing nations, with most only producing 1 or 2 models for general use. As the technology matured, so did its doctrine. Over time, militaries began to explore mechs for specific battlefield roles. Some were equipped with missile launchers or artillery cannons for long-range support, others were slow and heavy, armed for frontline combat, and some were small and fast for reconnaissance. In the Free Worlds League, following the introduction of the mass-produced battlemech Icarus by Korean enterprises, many mech and weapons companies within the league began their own battlemech programs. One such company was Totalet Industries, a relatively small industrial mech manufacturer. They chose J. Marcus Llewellyn James, a former colonel of the Free World League's militia, to lead their battlemech program. His hiring was strategic, as Llewellyn James had served as Associate Chief Armorer of the militia, bringing not only extensive knowledge of battlemech research but also multiple contacts within the military, government, and other powerful private entities. Leveraging this insider knowledge, Llewellyn James proposed and initiated the development of a reconnaissance mech, knowing the militia would soon be in need of one. What resulted was a TP-1R Trooper. The Trooper was a 20-ton mech based on a work mech chassis. As a purpose-built scout mech, the Trooper was very lightly armed, featuring 2 small lasers on the left arm, a machine gun on the right arm, and a flamer mounted centrally. With these weapons, it could provide anti-infantry support when needed. As the weapons emit low heat, the mech only carries a minimum 10 heat sinks. Its armor was also light, with only 3 tons of primitive armor, designed to accommodate the 145 rated primitive engine that allowed for a top speed of 97 km per hour. The simple design and the fact that the weapons were mounted inside pods where arms would usually be made the mech extremely easy to maintain, a boon for mechanics. However, the simplicity of its construction and the use of a work mech chassis meant some components were exposed and not designed to endure the rigors of combat. Additionally, the Trooper lacked ejection seats, though it did feature robust life support systems. Using Llewellyn James's connections and possible bribing of such individuals, the Free World League militia accepted the Trooper into service in the year 2475, even though it failed multiple mobility trials. In 2501, due to the mech's ubiquity among the Free World League militia, it was chosen to be the first mech to be upgraded with more modern technologies. The mech was renamed the Flea to disassociate the mech from the Trooper name, which was unpopular, and soon after, Totalet was bought out by Earthworks, which expanded production to 5 factories. The new Flea model continued the model line with an updated Earthwork Trooper chassis, maintaining a maximum weight of 20 tons. This new chassis addressed the mobility and durability issues that plagued the original Trooper. It was fitted with the latest standard technology, including a GM120 engine that maintained the same speed as its predecessor, and Livingston ceramic standard armor, though only 2 tons of it. Internal systems are also modernized, with the Neil 2000 providing communications and Dalban Hi-Res B for weapon targeting. The weaponry largely remained the same, except the right machine gun was replaced with a Martel large laser, giving the mech some ability to engage other mechs as they became more common on the battlefield. In one instance, 2 Fleas managed to destroy 3 commandos by using their superior mobility to flank them while the commandos were attempting to outmaneuver 2 hunchbacks. The Flamer was also relocated to the rear. Yes, this thing shits fire. For some reason, Earthworks removed the modular pods that their Trooper used to store its weapons, but ease of maintenance remained comparable. During the early Secession Wars, the Flea was a common sight within all Great House militaries due to its incredibly low cost and simple construction. However, as time passed, the Great Houses realized that investing in heavier mechs, which were more durable and offered greater survivability for pilots, was a better strategy than continuing to field these expendable machines. As a result, fewer Fleas were deployed until eventually only the Free Worlds League continued to field them in large numbers. Recognizing the Flea's vulnerability to its light armor, Earthworks introduced the Flea 15 variant in 2523. The armor was increased by a ton, though this came at a cost of a slightly reduced weapons loadout. The Flea 15 was armed with a medium laser and a machine gun on both arms, with small lasers mounted on the sides of the torso for rear defense. Probably to stop the Flea from being the butt of jokes, the Flamer was put back to the front. Despite this new variant, the Flea largely remained confined within the Free Worlds League, prompting Earthworks to downsize production. It wasn't until the arrival of Wolf's Dragoons in the 3000s that production and development of the Flea ramped up again. Earthworks signed a contract with the Dragoons for new parts and occasional new mechs. This partnership eventually required Earthworks to open 2 new production lines to meet demand, especially after the Fourth Secession War, when the Dragoons were at the lowest point. Though the Flea was generally not well liked, some pilots thrived with it. Roy Roemer, part of the Dragoons Special Recon Group, piloted a Flea 15 and excelled as a scout and disruptor. Another notable pilot was Phoenix Merrick Steiner, apparently the child of Janus Merrick and Katrina Steiner, who famously engaged in a 1-hour-long battle with Wops. There was a side development of the original Flea called the Flea 14. This model was even lighter at 15 tons, placing it in an ultra-light class of mechs. It was one of the first in its class to be created. In 2519, Earthworks developed the 14 series as a low-cost alternative to the already inexpensive Flea, offering a superior scouting capability compared to the Wops and Stinger. The Flea 14 featured a 135 rated engine, providing a top speed of 151 km per hour, along with 4 jump jets that allowed it to cover a distance of 120 meters. However, this extreme ability came at a significant cost. The 14 series was equipped with only a single medium laser, carried just 1 ton of armor, and was difficult to pilot. Earthworks produced a single run of 500 units, most of which were purchased with the Free Worlds League. These units were quickly relegated to backwater duties and policing, as their limited armaments made them unsuitable for frontline operations. Many pilots chose to remove the jump jets to add extra armor. The 14 series never achieved widespread success or deployment during the Star League era. It saw some revival during the Secession Wars, as all nations were desperate for any weapons they could acquire. However, as the fighting slowed, the 14 series once again became unwanted. Current estimates place the number of active Flea 14s at fewer than 20 across the entire Ionosphere and periphery. The Flea 15 was the last model developed until the turn of the new millennium. As mentioned earlier, the Wolf's Dragoon made heavy use of the Flea, to the point that Earthworks had to restart some production lines to meet their demands. They used this opportunity to upgrade the mech, as 5 centuries had already passed since the last model. The Flea 16 made its debut in 3032. It was designed to address the weaknesses of the original series by balancing the mobility, firepower, and survivability of the mech. The 16 series could reach a top speed of 151 km per hour, achieved by the new GM180 engine. The armor was increased to 3 tons, and the mech was armed with 2 Martel medium lasers and an Olympia flamer. While faster and more survivable, the 16 series had less firepower for direct combat. This did not stop Sergeant Ulzana Whitehead from single-handedly destroying 2 Scout Lancers consisting of 3 Fleas and several Stingers and Wops, some of which managed to escape. It was noted that during the engagement she had her comms on an open channel and laughed maniacally as she fought. Whitehead served with the Black Widows until 3039 and was one of the first to receive the Flea 16 as part of the Wolf's Dragoon's exclusive contract. In the 3040s, Maskarovka agents managed to acquire the blueprints for the Flea. Earthworks used this as justification to terminate the exclusivity contract and began offering the Flea to any interested parties. The company saw a massive increase in demand from the Capellans, periphery nations, and mercenaries, prompting the construction of another factory to increase production. Working with the Capellans, Earthworks used the Flea 15 as the base for their next design, the Flea 17. It featured a new Earthwork Trooper 2 endo-steel chassis rated for 20 tons. The GM120 engine was paired with a mask system, which, when active, pushed the mech to a speed of 129 km per hour. The only weapon difference between the Flea 17 and the Flea 15 was a switch to medium pulse lasers. The Flea 17 was almost exclusively produced for the Capellan Confederation until 3053, when the Wolf's Dragoons were spotted fielding them. The Flea 17 became the new standard model of the Flea and served as the base for subsequent variants. In the 3060s, a model known as the Fire Ant was reported by some mercenary units. This variant was designed for urban combat, equipped 6 machine guns and 2 flamers, allowing it to quickly clear buildings and destroy infantry positions. To accommodate these weapons, half a ton of armor was sacrificed. This variant appears to have gone extinct, as it was no longer seen after 3068. Earthworks denies producing the Fire Ant, suggesting that it may have been a mercenary refit. However, the next variant bears a close resemblance to the Fire Ant. The Flea 19 was also designed for urban environments. It removed the mask system and was equipped with 8 light machine guns and 2 light machine gun arrays. That's basically a minigun, according to this picture at least, divided between both arms. Instead of 2 flamers, the Flea 19 had 1, the remaining tonnage allocated to a rocket tank launcher and additional armor to restore it to 3 tons. This model became popular among periphery garrisons and mercenary units. Earthworks specifically warned buyers that this variant was not intended for mech-on-mech combat unless employing a swarm tactic. One notable unit was piloted by Brian Colorado Bunch, a former Solaris gladiator who purchased a Flea 19 and named it Bruin, painting it black and gold. Bunch led his band of 9 on intelligence operations against Blake's forces operating around Solaris for the local defense forces. A new Capella model followed soon after in 3071. The Flea 20 reintroduced the mask system and incorporated the Confederation's new stealth armor to its design. 2.5 tons of stealth armor, along the required Guardian ECM, replaced the standard 3 tons and 10 double heat sinks were installed. The Flea 20 had the heaviest weapon load, featuring 2 ER medium lasers and a light PPC. These units were first seen providing support to a squad of Fa Shi battle armor, indicating its role as infantry support rather than a scout. As more technologies were rediscovered or invented, other scout mechs became more lethal. Recognizing that the Flea's low maximum weight would not allow for a significant increase in firepower, Earthworks opted to take the Flea 20 and focus all the mech's tonnage on mobility. The GM120 engine was replaced with a light GM180 engine, paired not only to a mask system, but also to a supercharger. When both systems were used simultaneously, the mech could reach a top speed of 194 kilometers an hour, though this carried a higher risk of catastrophic failure. The Flea 21's armor loadout was lighter than its predecessor, featuring 2 ER medium lasers and an ER flamer. With its speed, stealth armor, and weaponry, the Flea 21 is frequently used by the Capellans and Wolfsdruns for deep scouting and raiding missions. Though it was primarily suited for anti-infantry roles, that did not stop one Commander Dulianth from using his Flea exclusively for anti-mech purposes. Dulianth, a scion of a lower noble family in the Federated Sons, clashed with his father's views, leading him to abandon his family. He stole his Flea and set off as a mercenary. Believing that destroying infantry in a mech was dishonorable, he focused solely on engaging other mechs, particularly those of a similar weight. Over time, he formed his own company, the Shadowleaf Crusaders, and only accepted contracts when he deemed the employer's cause was just. And there is the Flea, or the little shit as I like to call it. Just a tiny little menace that just runs around you in circles, right? Just teasing you, right? Just edging you to turn around and try to catch it. Just to have you expose your bum to his buddies and let them have their way on you. Ugh. But seriously, I don't even realize reaching almost 200 kilometers is like possible for mechs. Just imagine the legs of that thing. Just walking at 200 kilometers. How would that look like? That would look probably like that horse gif. That's wild, dude. Like, honestly, just trying to imagine legs moving that fast. It is an extreme risk because you have to activate both mask and the supercharger with both, which both requires you to roll every time, every turn you use those systems, you have to roll for like a failure, and having both of them on, which means you have to roll twice or something along those lines. That's pretty high chance of blowing up your engine and messing up your internals. But that's possible, I guess. That's one little fast boy. But yeah, the Flea. I think this was requested by a viewer, or I'm not remembering correctly, because there are other scouts and light mechs that have similar bug names. You know, you got the Wops, the Spider, and other things. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm trying. The structure of this video is slightly different. Not slightly, it's quite different. Do tell what you think about this new one, or would you rather have the older one? I was just hoping that this new structure can cut down the editing time, because it does take a while, kind of. But honestly, it was annoyingly repetitive for me to zoom in, zoom out all the time. But anyway, that's been that. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what you see, do please leave a like, huh? And if you like seeing more overviews and gaming, I do gaming, I stream gaming. Leave us up. Press the button there. Press it right now. If you get suggestions, do leave down below. Doesn't have to be a mech, could be an event. I think the next one will be an event. I need to do more events. I think that's more interesting. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I stream here and also on Twitch. I prefer you be on Twitch, but yeah, I also stream here on Twitch. It's fine. Up to you. If you want to be. Actually, no, I prefer you to be both. Actually, yeah, both. Don't have a preference. Just be on both. That's good for me. Yes. I also have Discord that's on Death's Bed. Need CPR. Wanna do CPR net? Please do join. But yeah, that's been that. That's been me. Till next time, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you then. See ya. Bye bye.